Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy together again, and it feels so good. But are they really, Andy Datson? I am Luke Owen, doing the Smackdown review with the one, the only, New Japan's biggest fan and their main correspondent on Wrestle2. I would say he's the reason to watch Wrestle2. It's Randy Andy Datson. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. Yes, I have just finished watching Power Struggle, which was a good show. Some surprises on that card, and the main event was long. So do go and check that out with me and Tempest, which is over on Wrestle2. Yes, but no, I'm very well. Looking forward to reviewing this with you for only, I think, the second time in history
that we've done a podcast together. I know, man. Yeah. I've actually been looking forward to this all week. I know that, and then I thought we weren't doing it, so I was delighted to find out yesterday that we are doing it together. So I was very much looking forward to this. Also, as much as we'd want to dive into this Seth Rollins stuff, did not see that Jay White victory coming at all. Like I did not.
Not at all. No, Tempest was shocked because it's the first time that a briefcase winner, I guess, has ever lost it before Wrestle Kingdom. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens.
Yes, indeed. Right, but let's talk about SmackDown, which I thought was a pretty good show this week. SmackDown is easily, outside of NXT, it's way better than Raw. It is basically broadly what
it is better than Raw.
Such an easier show to watch, but this was a night of distraction finishes. Out of the 5 matches that we had on this show, 3 of them ended with a distraction finish, and 2 of them were intrinsically tied into this Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, Leah Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio storyline that has been going on forever. Like it's pretty much all of 2020 has been dominated by this storyline.
Yeah, it's getting long. I mean, I thought, as we all, I think, thought with the draft, we go, oh, cool, Seth Rollins is moving to SmackDown. Oh, finally, that feud's over. And then it went, oh, right, okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean that just because they're all in the same brand, they're going to be feuding together. Well, it's going to be fine. And no, but they have just been feuding together. They are changing it, I guess. But it does feel like they're going, oh, how do we end this feud? I have no idea. Okay, let's just keep it going. Right, so they're in love now. They're going to kiss. Oh, God, what can we do now? It doesn't feel like there's a week-to-week plan. It feels like it's a Friday evening. Oh, God, what can we do next? And that has been reported that the SmackDown script, much like the Raw script in recent months, does keep getting ripped up. I haven't got anything massive against this kind of new rankle, because I think this wrinkle. The
new rankle.
The new rankle. I don't have anything particularly against this because it sort of plays into the whole Seth Rollins is very arrogant, and therefore he's like, oh, of course, Buddy's obviously going to still be my friend. He's back with me now. But I feel like it's sort of obvious that that's not the case.
Yeah, so on this episode of SmackDown, we had 2 qualifying matches for the SmackDown Survivor Series team. We had King Corbin versus Rey Mysterio. We had Otis versus Seth Rollins. And in the Corbin Mysterio match, obviously Dominic is out there ringside. But even before that, Rey was on the phone because he was trying to get hold of Leah Mysterio, who wasn't answering her phone.
Classic teenager.
Yeah, isn't it just? I mean, when I was a teenager and we didn't have mobile phones, I was never answering mine. Because I'm that old. But it's during this match, Seth Rollins comes out onto the stage to kind of watch on and cheer on Corbin. And then Buddy Murphy and Aaliyah come down to the ring. And this really made me chuckle because Rey Mysterio has been looking for Aaliyah all day, apparently. As soon as Aaliyah shows up, he says, go away. I was like, you've been looking for her all day, man.
Frankly, she could have just been standing on the right side of him the entire day. And because he's only got one eye now, he wouldn't have seen her. I think this whole sort of family thing started quite well, but the acting seems to have sort of got worse as time goes on. I don't think when Ray said to Vince, "Yeah, I'll sign a new contract, but you've got to have I want my wife and kids to be paid as well." I don't think this is quite what Ray had in mind. Having his daughter get involved in a romantic storyline.
So Buddy Murphy essentially cost Rey Mysterio the match. He ran into an end of days from Corbin. I thought it was a bit of a boring match, but we'll get into that when we get into the play-by-play. And then later on in the night, Otis versus Seth Rollins. Buddy Murphy comes out again to sort of cause this distraction and distracted Otis, allowing Seth Rollins to pick up the win. And backstage, Rollins approaches Murphy and is like, "Hey, did I just see what I think I just saw out there?" And Murphy says, "Yes, disciple, Messiah," putting themselves back together again. They're on the same page. And I mean, you can see the thumbnail that we've got on this podcast. He is bloody overjoyed, is Seth Rollins.
Yes.
He's very, very happy about this news because he's got his disciple back again. So Rollins walks away. Aaliyah walks up to Murphy and is like, "What are you doing? I had your bag, blah, 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 blah." Because the story they're telling is that Murphy or the Rollins thinks that Murphy's not been accepted into the Mysterio family, so he should come back to his flock instead. But Murphy tells Aaliyah, "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. You've got to trust me." So they are back together as a team, but one would probably assume that he is going to turn his back on old Seth Rollins at some point. It's all
never,
ruse.
Never trust. I mean, he's Judased once. I mean, he has turned his back on the Messiah, and I think, sort of turn the other cheek, as the real Messiah might say. But I can't see this going that way. I mean, I think it is very much Seth Rollins being, "Haha, yeah, I am the Messiah. Yeah, you do follow me, Murphy." Interesting to see where this goes. It does, like I said, it does feel like they are planning this week to week. But I'm going to give it a chance because SmackDown seems to have been quite good at accidentally booking good things recently.
Yeah, I was saying this on the Raw podcast when this storyline was a Raw one. I'm so intrigued by this storyline. I'm never massively invested in it, but I am always very much intrigued by it. And I kind of like all the new rankles that they've put onto this storyline and the wrongles that they've been adding to this along the way. But I'm kind of ready for it to really move into its next gear now, because I feel like we have been in sort of second gear for a long, long time with this. This angle here, though, makes me feel like we are about to shift gears, and it'll be interesting to see who else joins the SmackDown Survivor Series team, because we've got Jey Uso and Kevin Owens, who had a match tonight, so there's obviously some dissensions there. Baron Corbin, who is the blandest man on the SmackDown roster, and Seth Rollins. So maybe Buddy Murphy is going to end up on the SmackDown team as well, or Buddy Murphy will do something. So I think we are going to hopefully see something at Survivor Series that is going to lead to these having a match at TLC. So we can really try to because Buddy Murphy, I would assume that Buddy Murphy is doing this so that he can prove to the Mysterio family that he can be trusted and is the right man for their daughter.
Yes, it is. It is a heavily heel team at the moment on SmackDown. I did fancy book last week with Ollie that it could be Jey Uso, Seth, Dominic, Ray, and Buddy, just to kind of really play off that. But I mean, that can't happen now. I think it will still be Buddy or Ray. I know Ray hasn't kind of he's lost his opportunity, but they do often have that last chance saloon match where it might be a four-way between Otis, Ray, Buddy, and someone else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like you say, this does feel like they are actually moving on to something new. The romance stuff was dragged out a bit, and the whole "but Daddy, I love him" felt a bit kind of wooden and made up for the sake of it. But I'm much more interested in the Seth Rollins Buddy Murphy thing than I am in the Aaliyah Mysterio Buddy Murphy love storyline.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. The other thing I wanted to add just before we move into the sort of full play-by-play is that I will never not find it funny WWE staging of people watching screens backstage.
Mm.
Like, I mean, I know we all love to make fun of one person with their neck cranked looking at a screen, but you have never seen anything quite so funny when 3 people are doing it, and then all the Mysterio family standing in a row as they look at the screen. It really made me laugh.
Ray's not the tallest. No, Ali is taller than Ray, I think, in that picture.
Yeah, she might be wearing heels. We don't know, but that made me laugh so much when I was watching it this morning because it looks not a comfortable way to watch her telly.
Yeah, I'm going to start reading my notes like this now for the Smackdown podcast. I'm just going to.
All right. Well, let's get into the full play-by-play itself. Opened up with a cracking little Hell in a Cell rematch between Bayley and Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is, of course, Sasha Banks's. This is her chance to finally defend a singles title successfully. I don't know about you, Andy, but I found this very surprising that wasn't made more of a big deal of. Like, I know Bayley has said it in her promo, and she sort of said it in her promo leading into this and the video package. But like, I don't think the commentators really played it up a lot. And like, Sasha Banks finally getting that successful title win didn't feel like that big of a deal.
Yes, I really thought Bayley was going to win this because that's the storyline that they've been telling for so long. That Sasha Banks, she can win titles, but she chokes as soon as she does. But yeah, it's not like WWE commentary either to miss a trick and to not bury something in our brains so deeply that we cannot forget. I mean, it'd be so like Michael Cole to mention it 8 or 9 times. Like when Lars Sullivan came back, by the way, there are little things gone at the bottom of the screen. Lars Sullivan, when he came back, they said freak a million times, and they don't. And that's not important. But the thing that's important in this match is that Sasha Banks always fails to defend, and they kind of went, Sasha Banks fails to defend, and then no one really played up on it. And the fact that Sasha won clean and then gets attacked after the match sort of feels like, oh, so this is it. That's the end of the feud. I'm sure they'll revisit it because the SmackDown Women's roster is bad, and they've only got a couple of people who can seriously challenge Banks now. But yeah, it felt like a weird way to end this feud, especially when there was the history that Sasha has.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you next, is that, like, do you think that this is the end of the Banks-Bayley feud? Because, like, it didn't feel like a big blow-off moment to this. Like, I really think that, and perhaps this is just, me being a fantasy booking mark, and it's my fault that I'm not seeing sort of the genius of all of this. But it just felt like this didn't have that big blow-off moment that the storyline could have had, where you get on pay-per-view, it's Banks versus Bayley, and it is all about, can Sasha Banks, and you really draw that out, and you have loads of near falls and really build up and ramp up that drama.
I was going to say, this should have been pay-per-view, like they could have dragged it out. Bayley could have put Banks out of action again. Something could have happened there. Bayley could have been out of action for some time. And then on pay-per-view, you've got a match where Banks just keeps kicking out because she is so desperate to not be known as the person who never is able to retain. But no, she won clean. She kicked out of one Bayley to belly, which isn't, I think, it's not like it's a protected move. So it's not like she kicked out the one-winged angel exactly. But yeah, it looks like we've got Sasha Banks versus the new Carmella, who is new because she now wears Peyton Royce's gear.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, as soon as this match finished, Banks walks up the ramp, and then from out of nowhere, Carmella attacks her. So the Banks-Bayley thing is, like, pushed to one side, which is why, like, I agree with you. I feel like that's the end of that feud now. We're now moving on to our new thing. Yes, the new and improved Carmella. And this is a proper, she's just got a new hat. Like, it is the exact same Carmella, but she's got a different outfit now. And she gives her the super kick and the X Factor on the ramp. And that's it. I think we're moving on to Banks Mellon now. What do you do with Bayley next?
I don't know, but like they've been teasing this new character for Carmella. So the new character is that she likes expensive things, she wears dresses, and she's quite fancy. What was her old character? If it's not, her old character was that she likes expensive things, she's money, and that she is like that. It's like going from it's basically Emelina. It's going from Emma to Emelina. I mean, I know those are slightly more different characters, but it doesn't make me any more interested in Carmella.
No.
Just keep her character the same because it hasn't changed now. All she does now is wear red instead of a sort of one-piece leotard. But yeah, Bayley, I guess she just... I mean, this feud, this is a TLC feud all over, surely. And then Bayley will be back in it for Royal Rumble, I guess. Because, I mean, who else have they got? They got Zelina Vega, Billie Kay, Natalya. But Bianca Belair is the only realistic challenger. And I think that would be cool because I don't think there's been many times in certainly women's wrestling history in WWE that you've got two sort of non-white competitors going up against each other. And Bianca Belair is so good, and Sasha Banks is so good that I really see a lot of mileage in that. But other than that, SmackDown's women's roster is...
It's a bit bare bones at the moment, unfortunately, which we'll get to in a little bit because we've got triple threats leading up. I'd like to see Bayley get on the Survivor Series team because I think the character is so good that I think that she should.
I think she has to be.
She has to be. They need some star power on that team for starters. Apart from but it's it was a good match though. Like I feel like we're being slightly down on this because it was a really, really good match. I just feel that this deserved a better payoff than it feels like it's getting, unless of course Bayley is still going to be part of the storyline, which is always possible. We've got Jey Uso and Kevin Owens backstage talking about Survivor Series. Kevin Owens seemingly disrespecting the family, being like, Jey is a bit of a whipping boy here, and that led into this Caleb Braxton interview with Jey Uso, which didn't really it didn't start because Paul Heyman walks in and it's like, Roman Reigns did not sign off. He didn't authorize you doing this interview. So I'm afraid you're going to have to come with me. And this led to a brilliant, brilliant segment where Heyman and Jey are backstage. They're outside Roman Reigns' his dressing room. And, Heyman said, like, you need to get Roman's permission. You need to get the head of the table's permission if you want to do this. And Jey looks really pissed off about this. So Heyman goes in and gets him. And Roman just comes out and he brilliantly just goes like, hey, it sounded like Kevin Owens was disrespecting you. And if he's disrespecting you, that means he's disrespecting me. If he's disrespecting me, that means he's disrespecting the family. And I think it's, you need to go and sort that out. So Jey walks off and Heyman, there was this brilliant moment. He doesn't look at Heyman and he just goes, I thought you're supposed to know, you didn't know about this? And Heyman's like, I didn't know. It's like, I thought you're supposed to know everything. And Heyman's trying to sort of grovel, oh, no. And Roman just goes, get me Adam Pearce. And we're going to sort this Kevin Owens problem out tonight. I loved this segment.
I did as well. There is no one better at groveling than Paul Heyman. He has got the best face in WWE. Yeah, absolutely. The power struggle component in this is fascinating because as much as I know Heyman is now aligned with Roman Reigns, you cannot forget the whole Brock Lesnar thing. What is Paul Heyman's... I mean, I know he's kind of aligns himself with the biggest bully in the playground, but you got to think that at some point Brock will come back. What will Heyman do there? That's sort of the kind of the bit in the back of my mind. And the bit in the front of my mind is this... Jey really is part of the family now, and he's really taking it. It's not. I know a lot of people wanted him to be like, kind of, I don't want to be part of the family. I don't like it, but he's seeing this as an opportunity to be one of the top guys of SmackDown, and arguably as I was saying to Ollie, he's the second heel on SmackDown now because he's aligned with Roman Reigns, and it's not like Roman Reigns is having matches and Jey standing there going, Roman, you're a great guy. He's going out and winning these matches.
Yeah,
and that's so much more effective.
it's so much more interesting for a character as well. And the fact that he is on the Survivor Series team actually makes that Survivor Series team feel way more interesting. Like that Survivor Series match feel way more interesting because like the Raw team is just, it's the usual. How on earth will they possibly coexist on the same page, etc., etc.
All these people who were on SmackDown 3 weeks ago.
But the SmackDown team has got this Roman Reigns dynamic to it because Jey is on the Survivor Series team. And instantly, as soon as he's part of that team, obviously, I know he's been, for a week now, but it just makes it so much more interesting. I'm much more interested in this the SmackDown team than I am the Raw team. I'm loving this storyline, and I feel like I'm echoing everyone really that it's the best thing in WWE right now by quite some margin as well.
By quite a way. And again, I'm even more interested to see what happens when Jimmy, because as while he's been on TV a couple of times, he is still injured. He's supposed to be back around January. So maybe he'll come back for some kind of Royal Rumble match thing. That just adds something else to me. I don't think that's going to overcomplicate things because they've just been doing such a good job. I don't know who's writing this. I don't know whether it's all Paul Heyman. I don't know whether it's Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, Jey all putting their heads together, or whether Triple H is helping. But whoever's doing it, just keep doing it. Because this is the most invested in a storyline I've been in a long time. And it's, like I said to Ollie and Pete, it's very rare that I'm watching wrestling and going, oh, wow, what's happened? They're sort of almost forgetting. I know it's not real, but there's sometimes I'm going, and then I go, oh, no. Sorry, yeah. It kind of takes me into it, which doesn't happen very much anymore because of the way that we sort of do tend to know what's going on a lot more than we should.
Yeah, but I think it's also good. Like my new sort of like benchmark of how invested I am in a storyline is when I tend to stop taking notes while I'm watching something because like I just want to focus on the like what's happening on screen. And I had that during this backstage segment with Roman, Jey, and Paul Heyman, and it was just that Roman Reigns delivery of like, "Go get me Adam Pearce." Like, we're going to sort this KO problem out tonight.
Raw general manager, Adam Pearce.
Yeah. If he's disrespecting you, that means he's disrespecting. I think the Reigns character is absolutely fascinating. A character that is not fascinating, however, is King Corbin, who took on Rey Mysterio in their Survivor Series match. This King character has got to go. It's been well over a year. Like, who gives an F about him being King Corbin at this point?
Especially as they don't hold King of the Ring every year. Like, if it was a thing that King of the Ring was important, I was saying, Tempest was saying, why don't they have King of the Ring instead of Survivor Series? Because Survivor Series, as much as the matches are fun, has no stakes whatsoever. And King Corbin is he's just Baron Corbin he is Baron Corbin with a new hat. And Baron Corbin wasn't interesting in the first place. And I'm not interested in seeing him on this team because he doesn't add anything storyline-wise. He's just a guy to take a pin. And I'm almost certain he will probably be the first person eliminated because he just doesn't matter. He hasn't got a storyline. He hasn't really got... I mean, I'm assuming after this he'll align himself with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode in a new mid-card vortex because that's all he's good for. And it's not interesting because we've seen it a million times before with Baron Corbin. It's the only character that he knows how to play. I'm sure he could do another character. But because he's actually good on the mic, he's a good heel, and he's an acceptable wrestler. But they just see him as this guy who sort of is big and is mid-card.
Yeah, he is just heel fodder. I'm not interested in being on the Survivor Series team. It'd been way more interesting for Rey to have been on the team, particularly with Seth going onto the team as well. But yeah, Corbin wins. It was a perfectly fine match. It was a bit boring, actually, at times, particularly when it was just Corbin grounding down Rey. And yeah, Aaliyah and Murphy come down. Seth Rollins was at ringside. A lot of distractions in all of this. Yeah. Eventually, he at the end of days to get the win. Got very little to say about that. The next match we got, which was Natalya versus Ruby Riott versus Zelina Vega for a spot on the SmackDown women's team, wasn't really much of a match. It went, 3 or so minutes. It was very, very short. It was very, very fast, and it was very, very rushed. But I liked the finish in this. I might be the only
finish was good.
Oh, cool. I'm glad because I don't think Pete was massively into it when he did his review, but I really like this finish, which is that Natalya has the sharpshooter on Zelina Vega, and Ruby Riott sneaks in and locks in this armbar as well. And Natalya thinks that Zelina Vega is already tapped out, so she lets go of the hold, but doesn't notice that Ruby's got this hold, and then Zelina Vega taps out. So Ruby Riott picks up the win because of Natalya's arrogance that she thought Zelina Vega's already tapped out to my move. I thought this was a very, very smart finish, and I thought Natty sold it brilliantly. I thought Ruby sold it brilliantly. I quite enjoyed this.
Yeah, absolutely. It does show the lack of depth in the SmackDown Women's Division, because these people have already tried to qualify before, and they're just going to keep giving them opportunities to qualify. And then you can have another one. There's no one else. Yeah, nice finish. I don't know why Natalya would ever think anyone would tap to her sharpshooter, because it's rubbish. But yeah, nice finish. It's nice when they do something different. And yeah, it wasn't very long, but Ruby Riott deserves better. And any chance to see her on a pay-per-view in an actual sort of semi-main event-ish spot is fine by me. Zelina Vega is still more of a character. I don't think WWE will ever see her as a proper wrestler. And I'm sure Natalya will find a way to qualify because there's no one else.
Well, obviously, and you want to have the Natalya Lerner thing, right? Because we were so invested in that team over on Raw. We really want to see those two finally
former best friends collide. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Hashtag boat. And also, Ruby Riott has had a new haircut as well. So, I mean, I'm going to assume Liv Morgan will get onto the team at some point. I tell you who I want to see on the team, though, and that's Billie Kay, because... So Big E did this segment with Street Profits, and he was playing Trivial Pursuit and stuff to kind of like build up the Street Profits New Day match at Survivor Series. But for me, the standout of this segment was Billie Kay, because after Big E leaves, Billie Kay approaches the New Day about being not so much their manager, but about giving them the inside scoop. She's got her CV, which has got this picture of her on it, and she's got the inside scoop on the New Day because she's a former Raw star. New Day weren't on Raw, but the Street Profits were on Raw, and they were like, "Dude, we were on Raw as well." But she's just got this friend who's like, "As you can see from my resume, I'm a former member of the Raw roster."
She's not a wrestler. Like, I know she's been wrestling for 15 years, but she is not really a wrestler, and this is a much better way to book her, and she is so naturally funny. I still cannot believe they've split up the Iconics just to give Peyton Royce someone else who isn't anywhere near as charismatic, funny, charming, whatever you want to call it. But if they're going to use Billie Kay, use her like this. She's great, and
oh my god,
it tickled me. And wrestling segments don't often tickle me.
I think she is so funny, as you say, like naturally funny as well. I thought she was tremendous in this segment. I want good things for Billie Kay. I just wish she was I wish she was Peyton Royce's mouthpiece. That is so we could have the Iconics doing their comedy stuff without them being as a tag team, and just pushing Peyton Royce to the single star. I'm so I hate this team with her and her and Lacey Evans. Ugh, it's very bad. Otis versus Seth Rollins was the other Survivor Series qualifier we got in this. Hey, guess what? Distraction finish. Because Murphy came out while Otis was Otising up, and he runs wild. I really like Otis. I think his running wild. I think his babyface fire is very, very fun. And I enjoy watching him wrestle. I think he's a very good comedy act. But Murphy gets on the apron to cause a distraction, allowing Rollins to pick up the win, which sets up the storyline that we discussed at the start of this show. What did you make of it?
It was, it's good. I mean, obviously, Seth Rollins is great. Otis is great in a very different way. But the match itself, I think your enjoyment is a bit tainted by the finish, because we've already had this same finish earlier in the match. It was fine. It was a perfectly good TV match, and I think once again, a lot of the time, a lot of recent matches in SmackDown have more been angles than they have been matches. Like the match has been fine, but what they've really been booking is this angle. So I don't mind that. And Seth Rollins, it was the right booking for Seth Rollins to win. But Otis is already looking a bit lonely without Tucker, and Tucker is already jobbing out on Raw. What was the point? What was the point?
Felt so bad for Tucker on Raw. Like
he didn't get an entrance. Barely said his name. He's wearing stupid gear. He's like
Ricochet of all people.
Barely recognized him. I was like, who is that?
Yeah, it proper sucks to be Otis at the moment, and Tucker for that matter, because you had this heel turn at Hell in a Cell, which I'm guessing is going to have zero payoff because they are on separate brands, even though we are heading into the one night of the year where Raw and SmackDown stars go head to head in direct competition. It's the one night of the year that you could have done this match. But yeah, Tucker's jobbing out to Ricochet, who himself is jobbing out to Retribution. Otis just losing here. Yeah, man, it's what seemed like it was Otis had such a hot start to 2020, and you really thought, I really thought that the Money in the Bank was going to take him up to the next level. But if anything, it plateaued him out, and now he's just free falling.
Yeah, they capitalized on Otis's being so over, and then they went, oh crap, we can't have him beat the Fiend. He can't beat Drew McIntyre. Oh no, what have we done?
Not beat Roman.
Yeah, he's not going to beat Roman or Braun if they'd gone that direction. Oh crap! I mean, can he cash in on anyone else? No, that would make the belt look stupid. Oh, all right, let's give it to the Miz.
Of all people, yeah, we'll give it to the Miz of all people.
Like at the time, I was like, oh, Otis, cool. But it immediately, like 3 weeks later, I went, yeah, they don't know what they're doing now. And they clearly don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. I mean, 2020 for WWE, because they had their ratings free fall during the pandemic, the start of the pandemic when they had no fans in the arena, which I is certainly not WWE's fault that people didn't want to watch wrestling and didn't and could not get on board with this. I think actually them doing the Thunderdome was a stroke of genius, and I think it's actually worked out so much better for them than anything. But because they were in that ratings freefall, they went into panic modes, which is why we got Raw Underground, which is why we got Retribution. It's why we got Otis as Money in the Bank, because they were like, well, we've got to do something. We've got to try and do something. So that will make people, that will shock people, and we'll make them watch. We'll put it on Otis. But there was no plan after that. And so, yeah, really, really sucks for Otis. Speaking of sucking, Michael Cole had this interview with Lars Sullivan, who spent the entire interview doing this.
What a freak!
What a freak, eh? Like,
yeah.
And he's a freak. He was a bully. Well, he was bullied, and that then made him a bully. And then he is going to make people do whatever he wants. This absolutely sucked. Massive balls. I thought this was awful. I thought Lars was bad. It made him look like an idiot. I don't even know why Michael Cole was there, because Michael Cole asked one question and then it was just focusing on Lars. So, like, what was the point of it being a sit-down interview? Hated this segment.
WWE sit-down interviews have not been good in the last few years. Backstories in the last few years have been rubbish. We had initially the Bobby Lashley, I'm doing it for my sisters, which was just the god worst. Matt Riddle turned up on the main roster and said, I don't wear shoes, bro, because when I was younger, bro, I got my toes got frostbite, bro, and now when I wear shoes, bro, it feels like I got frostbite again, bro. And they were like, okay. And then you've got Lars Sullivan going, I was bullied. Oh, I just want to destroy people now to take it out on the bullies. I don't like Lars Sullivan. Nothing Lars Sullivan could do right now would make me like him, because he just seems like such a tit out of the ring.
Yeah.
So, frankly, I'm not interested in any segment he's in, and it doesn't help when he spends the entire time hyperventilating as if he's just woken up from sleep apnea.
Yeah, did not like this whatsoever. It's not really great. What I did like, however, was the main event of Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens. This was a really, really good match, sort of punctuated by this is a distraction finish that I don't mind. In all fairness, like because it fits into the storyline. The only reason I'm sort of like down on the whole distraction finish is of the 5 matches we had tonight, 3 of them had distraction finishes.
Yes.
They lose their muster when you do them over and over again. But this was like Roman watching backstage. You can tell that Roman has got some form of creative control because he's watching the television like a normal person. Like they Roman watch TV like it's a normal thing. You can tell that he's supposed to go like, I'm not going to be the Mysterio family standing in a row like absolute dorks. I am going to I'm going to watch this TV like a human would do. But he sends Paul Heyman out to ringside because he thinks that this match might go all right because Owens was on top. And in all of this, Roman's music hits, and Jey uses that distraction to hit Kevin Owens in the dick and proper headbutts him in the nads. And Jey hits the splash for the win. Loved that finish. Loved Jey Uso because Jey Uso then celebrates not like I didn't want you to do that. Oops, I could have done that on my own. No, Jey liked the fact that Roman cheated on his behalf because he then celebrates with Paul Heyman. He goes up the ramp and he celebrates with the head of the table. Loving this act. It is, it's just the best.
It really is. And like I said, it's Jey thinking, this is my chance. And it's almost like it's kayfabe, this is my chance. But it also feels like in real life, no, this is actually my chance to not be that tag guy who's got the twin brother. Like there was that fantastic promo he cut where he was like, you're Roman Reigns, you're the poster child, and I'm just the guy who they go, which one is he? And I love that. And it really feels like he is trying his best, both in kayfabe and sort of personally, to be like, this is my opportunity to become a genuine singles star. I don't think he's ever going to win the top title, but this is his opportunity to show, no, I am actually a really good wrestler. I am a great actor. I'm a great character. And okay, yeah, I might have to use someone bigger and better than me to get over, but I'm sure as hell going to do that. I love it. I love this storyline, and I've loved it ever since it started.
Yeah, we had a patron mailbag question on the magazine show with Denise. That was like, the kind of the talk at the moment is for WrestleMania. It's, it's Roman Rock, it's Roman Brock, it's Roman Goldberg. But actually, I think the more interesting storyline is continuing this Jey thing, and you do Roman J3 at WrestleMania, and maybe like you give Jey a Kofi Mania moment where he does win the big one and does, defeat Roman Reigns and sort of like separate himself away and like make himself a star. But I think in WWE's mind, Jey Uso is not at the same level as The Rock or Brock Lesnar or Goldberg. And it's WrestleMania, so I think they will likely are more going to go in those directions. But man, I could totally go for a Jey Uso Kofi Mania run to get to WrestleMania. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, like you said, I do think their eventual goal, if they can pull it out and if they can get fans, is Roman Rock at WrestleMania. I think that is possibly the biggest match WWE could book from the last 15 years. Like
since Rock Cena. Like it's the biggest match since Rock Cena.
And the storyline writes itself. I mean, I'm not saying WWE's creative isn't talented, but they don't need a lot of help with this one. Roman, I am the head of the family. I'm the head of the Anoa'i family, like the biggest wrestling family in history, arguably. And you've got this ready-made global superstar, WWE legend, who can just go, excuse me?
Yeah.
And that's the story. You don't need anything else. You could just have them going, no, I'm the head of the family. Rock goes, no, you're not. And Roman goes, well, I am. Okay, WrestleMania. It doesn't even need a build. You just go, oh, by the way, it's Roman Reigns Rock at WrestleMania. Everyone's going to go, okay, I'm watching that.
Yeah, totally. But that is all we've got time for on this show. Before we get out of here, though, it is perfectly the right time to remind you all that tonight is AEW Full Gear. It is me versus Mr. Davis for the Jam That Championship tonight.
Man.
What a thumbnail we have got here. The artistry, the Photoshop work. Andy,
what can I say?
I don't know who did it, but whoever did that is an absolute master.
However, it does say 1 a.m. on there. That's when the main show starts. The buy-in starts at midnight, and that is when I believe you will actually be starting the stream, because you just cannot get enough of AEW. So you want to start. You don't start early for WWE pre-shows, but you will.
And we do. But also, Andy, we've got to cover that all-important NWA Women's Title match between Serena Deeb and Allysin Kay that's had all the build.
Allysin Kay, the wrestler I've known about for all week. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be a fine match, and I'm sure it'll be a great show. I will be unable to watch live, but I'm sure I will catch up on it. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic show, and you still have time to put in your predictions. So do head over to Patreon and head to Wrestle League for that.
You can tell that we've still got time because I've not actually done it yet. But yeah, so tonight it's AEW Full Gear. It's me and Mr. Davis fighting for the championship. I'm working to regain my championship. We've got a tale of the tape and everything, which you can find over on our social media channels. We're really, really excited to have you there. So hit the subscribe button, enable notifications. Actually, the stream is already live. So find it on our channel. Go there, set the bell icon so you get notified of when it goes right. Set yourself a reminder, I believe YouTube like to call it. And join us for the AEW stream. We hope to see you all there. But for now, I've been Luke Owen. This has been Randy Andy Datson, and that was